I couldn't believe my eyes when I saw my Papa Joe's prize-winning Romas were just gone. I was just speechless. Like, literally, I walked out to my little garden patch, coffee in hand, ready to admire my beauties, and bam! Empty spots. And not just any tomatoes, okay? These were Papa Joe's. My grandpa. He grew these Romas his whole life, saved the seeds every year. This was my first year trying them in my own garden, and they were doing so darn well. Big, red, juicy. I was already dreaming about the sauce. Family tradition, you know? So, yeah, seeing those empty spots, it was like a punch to the gut. At first, I was like, okay, squirrels. Or maybe a really ambitious bird? I mean, it happens, right? Annoying, but whatever. I put up a little extra netting, grumbled a bit, and figured that was that. But then, a few days later, more were gone. And this time, it was weird. The netting was still up, perfectly fine, and the tomatoes weren't, like, nibbled on. They were just snipped. Clean cuts. Like, what kind of squirrel carries tiny garden shears? I started to get this weird feeling. This wasn't some critter. This was something else. And then, just to make my week even better, I got a visit from her. Kathy, the clipboard, Covington, head of our HOA's Landscape and Harmony Committee. Seriously, that's what it's called. Harmony. Ha! I was just out front, weeding, minding my own business, and up she strolls. Clipboard in hand, of course. Always the clipboard. "Good morning, Alex," she said, and her voice was like, "You know that sound when you scrape a fork on a plate?" "Yeah, that. I trust you received the latest community newsletter regarding approved mailbox paint palettes." I blinked. Hi, Kathy. Mailbox paint?" She adjusted her glasses, peering at my perfectly normal beige mailbox. "We're transitioning to Desert Taupe, shade 4B. Yours appears to be Sandy Fawn, shade 3C. That will need to be rectified by the end of the month." I just stared. "Are you serious? It's beige. It's always been beige." "Details matter for neighborhood cohesion, Alex," she said, making a little tick mark on her clipboard. "Harmony, you see." Then she gave my garden a quick disapproving once-over and walked off. Didn't even say goodbye. You guys, I was fuming. The audacity. But okay, whatever. HOA nonsense, right? I tried to just let it go. But then, the next morning, even more of Papa Joe's Romas were gone. A whole cluster this time. The good ones, just starting to get that perfect deep red. And again, clean snips, right off the vine. That's when it clicked. The timing. Kathy's weird visit. The way she looked at my garden. This wasn't squirrels. This wasn't birds. This was Kathy. It had to be. But why? Why would anyone steal tomatoes? Especially my tomatoes? Was it just to be mean? Because my mailbox was the wrong shade of beige? I felt sick. And angry. So angry. Like, who does that? Who walks into someone's yard and just takes their stuff? Especially something you've put your heart into? I walked around the garden just looking at the empty spots where those beautiful Romas used to be. Papa Joe would be so disappointed. I was disappointed. This wasn't just about some missing fruit anymore. Oh no, this was personal. Something felt wrong. Like a line had been crossed. A big red tomato-stained line. I had a bad feeling about this. A bad feeling. And I knew, deep down, this was just the beginning. Kathy the clipboard was up to something. And I was not going to let her get away with it. Not with Papa Joe's Romas. No way. Okay, so quick recap from last time. My precious Papa Joe's Romas. Vanishing. And I had a strong suspicion it was Kathy the clipboard Covington, our HOA's queen of mean. I was getting legitimately mad now. You guys, it's one thing to be a stickler for rules, even ridiculous mailbox paint rules. It's a whole other thing to sneak around stealing someone's hard-earned tomatoes. And guess what? It didn't stop. The next day, a few more were gone. It was like she was taunting me. I'd go out, see the gaps, and just, the frustration was real. Then, a couple of days later, I'm out watering my sad, depleted tomato plants, trying to cheer them up. And who marches up my driveway? You guessed it. Clipboard Kathy herself. But this time, she wasn't talking about mailboxes. Oh no. This time, she had a new target. "Alex," she said, stopping a few feet away, her eyes zeroing in on my tomato patch. "I need to discuss a violation." I straightened up, hose still in hand. "A violation? What now, Kathy?" I tried to keep my voice even, but I was already bristling. She held up her clipboard like it was a sacred tablet. "Regarding your vegetable cultivation." She said vegetable cultivation like it was a dirty word. As per Section 7, subsection C, paragraph 2 of the Community Guidelines, all plant support structures in forward-facing garden plots must not exceed a height of 36 inches. I looked at my tomato cages. They were standard cages. Maybe a couple of the taller ones hit 40 inches if you stretched it. Are you serious? These are normal tomato cages, Kathy. The rules are explicit, she chirped, tapping her pen on the clipboard. 36 inches. Yours are clearly in excess. Furthermore, she continued, her voice dripping with fake concern, the vibrancy of these fruits is somewhat garish for the approved neighborhood color palette. Perhaps something more muted next season? Garish? My beautiful red Romas were garish? I just stared at her. Like, are you for real? She was complaining about the height of my tomato cages and the color of my tomatoes, while I was pretty darn sure she was the one sneaking around snipping them off. Kathy, I said, trying to keep my cool, are you telling me my tomatoes are too red? She gave me that tight little smile. The guidelines prefer a more subdued aesthetic, Alex, for overall harmony. She made another little tick on her clipboard. You have 1 week to bring these structures into compliance and consider the color issue for future plantings. And with that, she turned on her heel and marched off. That's when the light bulb went off, guys. It had to be her. This wasn't just random rule enforcement. This was targeted. She was messing with my tomatoes, and then she was coming over to complain about them with these bogus violations. The nerve, the absolute unmitigated gall of this woman. I was shaking. Not with fear. Oh no. With pure, unadulterated rage. Okay, fine. If she wants to play dirty, then so was I. Suspicion wasn't enough. I needed proof. Cold, hard, undeniable proof that Kathy the clipboard was a tomato-thieving hypocrite. My mind started racing. How do you catch a sneaky HOA Karen in the act? A stakeout? Nah, I didn't have the patience for that. And she'd probably cite me for loitering on my own property or something. Then it hit me. Cameras! A little hidden security camera. Yes! I practically ran inside, grabbed my laptop, and started searching. Spent way too long on Amazon for this, you guys, comparing night vision and battery life and all that jazz. But I found a couple of small ones. Decent reviews, looked like they'd be easy to hide. Click, click, express shipping. Done. The next 2 days were agony waiting for those cameras. More tomatoes disappeared, of course. Each missing one just fueled my determination. When the package finally arrived, I felt like a secret agent. I charged them up, read the tiny instruction manuals, and then, under the cover of dusk, I went out to the garden. I got them tucked away nice and sneaky. One was disguised a bit by a larger basil plant, aimed right at the main tomato patch. Another one I managed to angle from a bird feeder pole, giving a slightly wider view. I double-checked the angles, made sure the Wi-Fi was connected, and then I stood back. The trap was set. Now, we wait, and I was so ready. Ready to catch Kathy. Ready for some payback. This tomato war was on. All right, so the cameras were up. Operation. Catch clipboard. Kathy was officially a go. You guys, the next few days were torture. Every morning I'd wake up, heart pounding, and the first thing I'd do, before coffee, before anything, was check the camera footage from overnight. My stomach was in knots. I'd scroll through hours of, well, mostly nothing. Just leaves rustling, maybe a neighborhood cat strolling by. It was so tedious. And every time I checked, I was half expecting to see nothing, half terrified of what I might see. And yeah, a few more of Papa Joe's Romas vanished during that time. Each one was like another little stab. I'd see the gap in the plants and just mutter, "Soon, Kathy. Soon." Then it was a Tuesday morning. I almost didn't check. I was starting to feel a bit defeated, wondering if maybe she'd stopped or if I was just crazy. But I dragged myself to the laptop, opened the app, and then I saw it. This one file. Different timestamp, middle of the night. Around 2 a.m. My breath just caught in my throat. I clicked play. My hands were literally shaking. The footage was a little grainy, night vision green, you know? But there was no mistaking it. There she was. Kathy, the clipboard, Covington. Clear as day. Or, well, clear as night vision. She was wearing this ridiculous flowery nightgown and a pair of those fuzzy slippers. And in her hand, a small pair of garden shears. The shears. She tiptoed into my yard, looked around all sneaky-like, and then went straight for my prize-winning Romas, snipping them off one by one and putting them into a little wicker basket she had. A basket! I swear I heard her mutter something like, right into the camera's microphone. It was faint, but I cranked the volume. "That'll show them," she whispered. "Can't just plant whatever they please, disrupting the harmony." Disrupting the harmony? By growing delicious tomatoes? My jaw dropped. I literally felt the blood drain from my face. Then I just started laughing, like a crazy person laugh. Hysterical. It was just so absurd. The nightgown, the basket, the whispering. I had her. I finally had her. You guys, I couldn't believe my eyes. This was gold. Pure, unadulterated HOA Karen caught red-handed gold. I must have watched that clip like 20 times. Each time just shaking my head in disbelief. The sheer nerve of this woman. Okay, so my first instinct? Pure righteous fury. I wanted to march right over there, bang on her door, and shove my phone in her face. And, well, I kinda did. Not my proudest moment, guys. I was just so worked up. I grabbed my phone, stormed across the street, still in my pajamas I might add, and rang her doorbell. Repeatedly. She finally opened it, looking all sleepy and annoyed. "Alex? What on earth is the meaning of this at this hour?" I held up my phone. The video paused on her mid-snip. "This, Kathy. This is the meaning of this. You've been stealing my tomatoes." She blinked at the phone. Her face went bright red for a second. Then she just composed herself, smoothed down her nightgown, adjusted her glasses even though they weren't crooked. "I have no idea what you're talking about," she said, her voice icy calm. "That could be anyone. Probably some doctored footage. Now, if you'll excuse me, I was sleeping." And she just slammed the door. Right in my face. Seriously. Deny, deny, deny. Even with video proof. I stood there on her porch, fuming. Okay, so a direct confrontation wasn't going to work. She was just going to lie her way out of it. This woman had no shame. Absolutely none. But I had the proof. Undeniable. Irrefutable. And now, I knew I couldn't just let this go with a simple apology or her promising to stop. Oh no. She deserved more than that. She messed with Papa Joe's Romas. She lied to my face. She abused her HOA power. I walked back to my house, a new kind of determination settling in. My anger was still there, but now it was focused. I had her. Now I just needed to figure out how to use it. How to make sure everyone knew exactly who Kathy the Clipboard Covington really was. Okay, talking to her didn't work. Time for Operation Public Humiliation. This was going to be bigger than just tomatoes. This was about principle, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit of sweet, sweet revenge. Okay, so quick recap. I had the video. The video. Kathy the Clipboard Covington, red-handed, or, well, green night vision-handed, stealing my Papa Joe's Romas. And then she had the nerve to deny it right to my face. The nerve of this woman, I swear. So, a direct confrontation was a bust. She was just going to lie and deny. But I had that footage, guys, and I was not going to let it go to waste. Public humiliation. That was the new plan. The annual HOA meeting was in a few weeks. Perfect. I was pumped, but also like, can I pull this off? I mean, public speaking? Not exactly my jam. But the thought of Kathy's face when everyone saw that video? Oh yeah, that was motivation. First things first, I needed to be strategic. Just showing the video might not be enough. I needed to hit her where it really hurt. Her precious HOA rules. Her authority. So, I dug out that dusty HOA rulebook. You know the one. That thick binder they give you when you move in, full of tiny print and weirdly specific regulations about everything from fence height to, well, probably the color of your shoelaces if you looked hard enough. Spent hours reading that boring thing. So many whereases and heretofores. My eyes were crossing. I was highlighting stuff, making notes, looking for anything. And then I found it. I was deep into Section 6, Exterior Property Aesthetics and Maintenance Standards. And there it was, Section 6A, Subsection 4, Paragraph 3. Decorative yard accoutrements, including but not limited to statuary, ornamental figures, and non-functional lighting, shall be limited to a maximum of three items per designated garden bed, and must adhere to the approved community palette of natural earth tones or subtle pastels. Items deemed excessive or visually disruptive are strictly prohibited. A little light bulb went off, a bright, vengeful light bulb, because, you guys, I knew exactly who had a yard full of visually disruptive items. Kathy, our dear Clipboard Covington, the enforcer of all things bland and beige, had a secret shame, a flock, a veritable army of tacky, brightly colored plastic lawn flamingos. Not just one or two. We're talking like a dozen of them. Pink, sparkly ones. Some even had little hats. They were hidden away in her backyard mostly, but you could see them if you peeked over the fence just right. And I had peeked, more than once, because they were so hilariously awful. And guess what color flamingos are not? Natural earth tones or subtle pastels. Surprise! I cackled, out loud. My cat looked at me like I was crazy. Maybe I was, a little. Crazy with glee. This was it. This was the key. It wasn't just that she was stealing my tomatoes. It wasn't just that she was a liar. She was a hypocrite. A flamingo-hoarding, rule-breaking hypocrite. Okay? Here's the genius part, guys. The plan started forming in my head, clear as day. At the HOA meeting, during the open forum part, I would stand up. I would talk about the importance of community standards, about respecting property, about following the rules. All calm and reasonable. Then, I would play the video. The glorious night vision footage of Kathy and her wicker basket of stolen Romas. For everyone to see. And just when she was sputtering and denying and turning that delightful shade of crimson, bam! I'd hit her with her own violation. I'd have printouts of Section 6A. I'd have pictures of her flamingo army. Oh yes, I'd already taken some sneaky photos over the fence last summer when she was on vacation. See? Sometimes being a little nosy pays off. This was gonna be epic, hitting her where it hurt. Her reputation, her authority, her ridiculous sense of superiority. I spent the next week prepping. I edited the video clip to just the juiciest bits. I made sure the audio of her muttering about harmony was crystal clear. I printed out the HOA rule section in big, bold letters. I got the flamingo photos printed in glorious, tacky color. I even practiced my little speech in front of the mirror. Tried to sound calm, collected, like I was just a concerned citizen. Even though inside I was doing a victory dance. The HOA meeting was set for the following Tuesday. The plan was perfect. Every detail was locked in. I even started thinking about what I'd wear. Something that said, I'm a reasonable person, but don't mess with my tomatoes. Maybe a nice, sensible cardigan, with pockets for my evidence. Get ready, Kathy. Karma's coming. And it smells like tomato sauce, and maybe a little bit like plastic flamingos. This was going to be so good, I could barely wait. Okay, guys, this is it. The night of the HOA annual meeting. The night of reckoning. Operation. Tomato Takedown and Flamingo Fiasco was about to go live. I'd rewatched the video of Kathy stealing my Romas about 100 times. I had my printouts of the HOA rules, those glorious flamingo photos. I was ready. Walking into that community center meeting room? Yeah, my hands were sweating a little. Not gonna lie. The room was already buzzing with that typical HOA meeting energy. A mix of boredom, mild annoyance, and a few people who looked way too invested in the minutes from the last meeting. Barry, the bystander. Miller, our fearless HOA president, was up front, fiddling with his microphone, looking like he'd rather be anywhere else. Classic Barry. I found a seat near the back, took a deep breath and tried to look casual. Inside, my heart was doing the Macarena. The meeting droned on. Budget reports, paving committee updates, blah, blah, blah. Kathy, of course, was front and center, clipboard at the ready, interjecting every 5 minutes about some obscure procedural point. Oh, the irony was just delicious. Finally, Barry mumbled, all right, open forum. Anyone have anything they'd like to, bring before the board? This was my cue. I stood up. My legs felt a little shaky, but I forced myself to walk to the little podium they had. Hi, everyone, I started, trying to keep my voice steady. My name is Alex. I live over on Willow Creek Drive, and I wanted to talk a little bit about community standards and respecting each other's property. A few people nodded. Kathy actually gave a smug little smirk, probably thinking I was about to praise her tireless efforts. Oh, you just wait, lady. We all agree that rules are important for maintaining a harmonious neighborhood, right? I continued, making eye contact with a few people, and that we should all strive to be good neighbors. More nods. So far, so good. So it's particularly disappointing, I said, my voice starting to get a little firmer, when those standards are violated, especially by those in positions of trust. For example, when someone repeatedly sneaks into another resident's yard under the cover of darkness to steal their property. The room got quiet. You could hear a pin drop. Kathy's smirk vanished. She was looking at me, a confused frown forming. I'm talking, of course, I said, pulling out my phone and connecting it to the projector we conveniently had for the budget presentation, about my Papa Joe's prize-winning Roma tomatoes. And then I hit play. The screen lit up with that grainy green night vision footage. There was Kathy, in her flowery nightgown and fuzzy slippers, shears in hand, tiptoeing through my garden, snipping my Romas, whispering about harmony. Guys, the reaction. First, there was just stunned silence, then a gasp, then another. I saw jaws literally drop. People were turning to stare at Kathy. She sprang up, her face bright red. "That's fake!" she shrieked, her voice cracking. That's doctored footage. This is an outrage. Slander." Barry was stammering. "Now, Kathy, Alex, let's just—" But I wasn't done. "Oh no, fake, Kathy?" I said, my voice loud and clear over her sputtering. "Really? Because it looks pretty real to me. But speaking of rules and upholding community standards," I held up my printout of Section 6A. "Let's talk about Section 6A, subsection 4, paragraph 3, specifically the part about decorative yard accoutrements and visually disruptive items." I clicked the projector to the next slide, and there they were, in glorious, full color. Kathy's army of tacky, plastic, pink flamingos, sparkly ones and all. The room erupted, not in anger, but in, well, it sounded like a mix of shocked laughter and horrified giggles. Someone in the back actually snorted. Kathy just stood there, mouth opening and closing like a fish. Her face had gone from red to a weird, blotchy pale. She looked like she might actually faint. "And guess what, Kathy?" I said, my voice dripping with fake sweetness. "According to the rules you love to enforce, your yard is grossly out of compliance. Those flamingos? Definitely not natural earth tones or subtle pastels. And I counted 12, Kathy. 12. Pretty sure that qualifies as excessive." The laughter got louder. Even Barry looked like he was trying not to smile, though he was still wringing his hands. Kathy finally found her voice, a strangled squeak. This is a personal attack. This is harassment." "Is it, Kathy?" I asked. "Or is it just holding everyone to the same standard? The standard you hold everyone else to? You know, for harmony?" She had no answer. She just sank back into her chair, looking utterly defeated. The clipboard lay forgotten on the table beside her. The rest of the meeting was a blur. People were buzzing. Barry, bless his flustered heart, managed to get the board to agree to review Mrs. Covington's compliance with Section 6A and address the serious allegations raised by Alex, which, in HOA speak, meant Kathy was toast. Later, I heard she got a hefty fine for the flamingos and was asked to step down from the Landscape and Harmony Committee, effective immediately. So yeah, justice served. Papa Joe's Romas are safe, the ones that are left anyway. I even managed to make a small batch of sauce with the survivors. And let me tell you, it was the sweetest, most satisfying sauce I've ever tasted. Dealing with HOAs, man, it's a trip. But sometimes, just sometimes, the little guy and their tomatoes can win. Anyway, that's the story of Kathy the Clipboard and the Great Tomato Heist. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want more crazy stories. See ya!